When black girls are singled out at school for their braids or extensions and physically harmed, this, in my opinion, rises to the level of a hate crime. It's a biased assault, and under federal and state law, kids who do this, they should be prosecuted. This is not just bullying. It's an assault with racial and gender-based targeting. And these kids know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They just think they can still get away with it. But now that teachers and parents are hip to this, in this school year of 2025-2026, they're not going to anymore. The truth is, the humiliation after the fact is part of their goal. When they pull a little black girl's hair out of her head and throw it on the ground or hold it up and they all giggle about it, it's their version of a victory. To degrade the little girl, knowing full well that any consequences they face won't come close to matching the damage they've done to her dignity. I'm going to share with you just some stories that I found in the last 5 minutes. Just national news stories about little black girls having their hair ripped out of their head. Now, it's funny that little boys are wearing their hair braided as well, but they're not having their braids ripped out of their head. But it seems to only be little black girls that are having their braids ripped out of their head. Sometimes they're cornrows in their head and they rip them out. And then the reporter's version is, well, it's just missing hair. We don't see any visible injuries.
The photo she posted shows a bald spot, but no apparent injury.
I wonder how the reporter would feel if I went up to his television station, walked up to his desk, and from the scalp ripped 7 inches, the length of 7 inches out of his head from the scalp. Would that be an injury? But I digress. I'm going to show you some other reports around the country because this is not an isolated case. It is an epidemic of little black girls being assaulted at school and having their hair ripped out of their heads from the scalp. Like it, subscribe to it, and ring that bell because we're building a movement, not just a moment.
Mother in Duluth is accusing employees at her child's former daycare of ripping the braids out of the 2-year-old's scalp.
Now the state has opened an investigation into Creekstone Daycare in response to those claims, and Fox 5's Joy Dukes has more on the story.
Yeah, Caitlin Brown says she was shocked and angered when she came to pick her 2-year-old daughter Bailey up from school and found that there was a bald patch in the back of her head. As she tells Fox 5, the explanation that she received from officials with Creekstone Daycare Academy here in Duluth didn't quite add up.
This is not just about my child. This could have been anyone's child.
An investigation at the state level is now underway after these photos hit the internet.
This is very unusual, both the type of complaint and just complaints in general.
Duluth mom Caitlin Brown saying an employee at her 2-year-old daughter Bailey's daycare was responsible. But it all started with another student ripping the toddler's beads out, according to daycare officials.
She told me that all she would do was contact their parent. She never made a complaint. She never showed me any video footage of what could have happened to my child.
A statement from Creekstone Daycare Academy says they did notify her about the March 28th incident and asked her not to put beads in her hair for safety reasons. Brown says because they showed no policy against beads, she continued to put them in. But the next week when Bailey came home, she found bald patches in her scalp.
When I did speak to the owner of this place, he told me that this was something that could have happened at home while she was in my care. I really don't appreciate it, and I'm very hurt. I'm very angry.
She says a day later, her 2 children were no longer enrolled at the daycare. A statement from daycare officials says it was the result of Brown's inappropriate behavior, screaming and yelling at the director. State officials say they take these complaints very seriously. The investigation could take up to 30 days. Now, officials with Creekstone Daycare Academy have denied all of these allegations.
A local mother tells only Channel 9 that her 7-year-old daughter got into a fight at school and had her hair ripped out. She claims that officials at the school never told her about it.
Glenn Counts is live at Mountain Island Lake Academy tonight.
Glenn, the mother says that her daughter now might need surgery because of this.
Well, Eric, what happened, the mother says, was not child's play, according to her. And she tells us that her 7-year-old daughter might have to get plastic surgery as a result.
More than 700 students attend Mount Island Lake Academy, a K-8 CMS school. One of those students is 7-year-old Nevaeh Wallace.
Anybody would take this as a small incident. Oh, that's not that bad. No, that it is that bad.
Brittany Wallace is Nevaeh's mother. She is furious. On Tuesday, she says her daughter got into a fight with a classmate, a 7-year-old boy. She says these pictures show the damage. Notice the right side of Nevaeh's scalp with a full head of hair, but on the left side, the braids have been pulled out.
I got her a dermatologist appointment coming up as well, and they're speaking on procedures, like they gotta test her scalp and see if it's really, I guess, bad to the point where she has to get implants.
The mother is upset about a number of things, but her main complaint, she says the school didn't contact her about this.
How can I trust that if when my child gets hurt and y'all don't know what to do, y'all cover it up?
The school district strongly denies any allegation of a cover-up. Lisa Barnes, CMS's executive director of student discipline, told us, at Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, we take all incidents and allegations of student misbehavior seriously. All incidents and allegations of incidents are thoroughly investigated and addressed according to the Student Code of Conduct. The safety and security of our students is of the utmost importance, and we will continue to ensure that we are cultivating learning environments that support the needs of all scholars. Garcia Nelson is a community activist who questions CMS.
This child have a right not only for adequate academics, but to be in a safe environment.
One of the braids in her daughter's hair was missing.
Yeah, she shared photos, there they are, with Eyewitness News that appeared to show the missing portion of her daughter's hair, but the daycare says that there is no evidence a braid was pulled from her head. So what happened?
Eyewitness News reporter Janice Yu spoke to the girl's mother, who is now taking legal action against the daycare.
Then that's when she sent me the picture, and that's what I saw, the big bald spot in my child's head with the braid missing.
Tamara Hemingway was stunned. She says she sent her 2-year-old to daycare like this last Wednesday, with 4 braids on the right side of her head. She says it was only when she called to check in the afternoon, a staff member at Growing Kids Academy noticed one braid on Mila's head was missing.
You have to use some type of force for a braid to be removed. It was a cornrow, so it was braided down to her scalp. There's no way that I don't know who could have done it, but I know for a fact she or a kid would not have done that.
A report with the Ocean Township Police says Mila's hair looked normal around 11 a.m. The video from inside the classroom shows her playing with her braids several times. The officer notes one of the teachers is seen on video trying to take a smock off of Mila's head around 11:45, at which point she's seen putting her hand up to the right side of her head. After this, the officer no longer saw the braid, and even after searching, the hair and the barrettes were not found.
What troubles me about the case is that the facility deflected, and they told my client various different things. They didn't know if her child pulled it out. They didn't know what happened. At first they feigned that they had no idea that it even happened.
The director of the daycare tells Eyewitness News it's not clear exactly what happened, but that there's no evidence Mila's hair was pulled out. Hemingway says for her, this isn't so much about the manner in which the braid came off, but the way the daycare handled the situation.
They're supposed to notify me just to even give whatever little information you do have about the incident until you look into it further and confirm. But no one even called me to just let me know that little bit of information. I'm very upset and I'm very frustrated because this is my child. She's not able to let me know what happened, and that's the concerning part. The fact that they're just so insensitive, no one even called me to check on her, see how she was doing.
She also says the 2-year-old has been sensitive to people touching her hair ever since this happened.
When Taylor Robinson picked up her daughter from daycare at the La Petite Academy of Midlothian on November 15th, she says she was met with an unpleasant surprise.
And she turned around and there was a big bald spot in the front of her head. I was very shocked.
A big chunk of her almost 2-year-old child's hair missing.
I could barely even speak. I just could not get my thoughts together. It has given me so much anxiety. I could not sleep.
According to a school incident report, while on the playground, the child's hair bead got caught in the hole of a honeycomb-designed picnic table. When she tried to get unstuck, her braid ripped out.
I'm asking questions like, oh my goodness, like, you know, how did that happen? You know, was she at the table by herself? Who was around?
Robinson says she met with school leadership and was told that it occurred as the teacher was taking the class inside.
So if you're taking the class in, my daughter's at a picnic table by herself. She's not being watched.
On the report, under how to prevent the incident in the future, it says, keep closer eye. However, a daycare spokesperson tells CBS 6 in an email the child was under the appropriate supervision of her teacher while on the playground. They also say the daycare inspected the picnic table to confirm it was age appropriate, and they continuously review supervision and safety protocols with staff.
Like, our expectations is that we pick up our child the same way we drop them off.
The parents requested to see the surveillance footage, but La Petite tells me the video systems for the playgrounds are limited and did not adequately capture the area in question.
If the incident's not on camera, we want to see before. We want to see after. What was their response to her when it happened?
They've since unenrolled their daughter from the daycare.
Our daughter was definitely upset and traumatized.
I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Right.
Like, no child nor parent should have to go through this.
Parents say they did file a complaint with the Virginia Department of Education here, and the VDOE confirms to me that they have opened up an investigation.
Akila Perez says this bald spot on her daughter's head is the result of a teacher's assistant yanking out a braid. It allegedly happened on March 15th while Zuena was in her pre-K 4 class at PS 26 in Jersey City.
It's a terrible feeling to send your child to a place where they're supposed to be safe and for them to come home with their hair pulled out and sad, saying that their teacher hurt them. It's really heartbreaking.
Perez noticed Zuena's hair as soon as she returned home from school. Perez says the 5-year-old also had bruising on her face. Mom called authorities to her home where medics assessed and treated the little girl. Perez says her quest for answers and action from the school have gone nowhere.
Her teacher tried to pass it off as her sleeping messily at nap time and her hair getting messed up.
Zuena has special needs. According to Perez, the incident happened after the child refused to go in timeout.
She has ADD, but again, these people are supposed to be trained to deal with that.
7-year-old Lamaya Cameron sports a few dozen braids, but one is conspicuously absent.
She told me to stop playing with it and then cut it off and send me back to my desk.
Lamaya is a first grader at Congress Elementary and says her teacher used a classroom scissors to cut off one of the braids after she absentmindedly kept playing with them.
Tell me how you play with your hair. Show me what that means.
She says the teacher called her to the front of the room and cut it in front of the whole class.
And they was laughing. She threw it away.
Lamaya's mom was and is furious. She went to the school and confronted the teacher.
I said, well, you know, you cut a lot of her hair off, and then she was like, well, I do apologize. She said, but I was frustrated.
The MPS district says they're going through the disciplinary process with the teacher, who remains in class, though Lamaya has been moved to a different classroom by the principal. Milwaukee police investigated the case and referred it to the district attorney for possible physical or mental abuse of a child charges.